أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي ليس لأوليته ابتداء ولا لأزليته انقضاء وانحصرت الأوصاف عن كنه معرفته ورضعت عظمته العقول والذي لا تواري عنه سماء سماء ولا أرض أرضا ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيد البطحاء سيد المرسلين والأنبياء أبي القاسم محمد المصطفى
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى الجوهرة القدسية البتول العذراء سيدة النساء فاطمة الزهراء وعلى بعضها أمير المؤمنين وبنيها الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
لا سيما على بقية الله وحجته الكبرى الذي بيمنه رزق الورى وبوجوده ثبتت الأرض والسماء ولولاه لصاحت الأرض بأهلها واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من حين عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الإمام الصادق عليه الصلاة والسلام عليكم بالأحداث صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
I'd like to thank all of you respectable Mu'mineen and Mu'minat for showing up in this program, and special thanks to the organizers, the hosts of this program, mashallah, who have been working hard since months to arrange this, and for all of you and for all of them to recite aloud salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Mashallah, the youth have presented a beautiful presentation, thought-provoking and presentation that shakes the conscience of those who think. So, mashallah, a very good way of presenting, a very unique way of presenting these thoughts. For all these kids, please recite another Lord Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
The subject that I am talking about today is raising children in the West, and this is something that is fundamental importance for all of us who live in the West, and there's something that we have to pay attention on a daily basis and be particular about it consistently. Islam is a religion which is related to the entire society. We don't believe in ruhbaniyat, la ruhbaniyat fil Islam, breaking away from the society, going far away from the population, or living in some kind of monasteries, turning our backs to all the social obligations and political obligations that our Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and the Holy Quran has taught us. This policy has nothing to do with Islam and will not gain the desired nuraniyat and closeness towards Allah. So we believe that our beautiful religion is social in nature. So we are encouraged and we are supposed to live in the society, being part of the mainstream. And when that's the case, then it's logical to derive that we have social obligations towards each other, and by fulfilling those obligations, we can expect a healthy society. And this society that we are talking about starts from a family. A family is the foundation of the society. Those lobbies who had been trying to promote their agendas, their secular, non-religious or anti-God agendas in the West, those lobbies have been, some of them have been trying very hard to break the family system, because their agendas depend on breaking the family system. And in some of those areas you find that the state raises the children. Whereas in Islam and Islamic ideology, the parents are supposed to raise the children, not the state. And primarily it's the responsibility of the father, because in Islamic value system the children belong to the father. And second of all, it's the responsibility of the mother. So family has to be founded on strong divine values rooted in the Holy Quran and the teachings and the practice and the seerat and the lifestyle of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. There is a hadith which I recited from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, where he is saying,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad
alaykum bil ahdath la yasbiqannakum ilayhim al murji'ah. Do you keep your focus on the youth? The non-religious people should not take a lead over you towards them. It should not be the case that the non-religious people are taking a lead and they influence the youth before you can influence them. There is a significant level of emphasis laid over raising our youth in a positive way, that our youth feel proud over being the followers of Islam and followers of the path of the prophets and imams alayhi salam. So now we have two kinds of approaches to this matter. One is a proactive approach and one is a reactive approach. And I'll first talk about the proactive approach towards this. And the proactive approach serves as a prevention before the harms happen, before the sufferings happen, before the spirituality is starts declining. It's our job to make sure and take certain steps to prevent that from taking place. That's a proactive approach which we are all supposed to learn and practice in our lives. And then later on, inshallah, I'm going to talk about the reactive approach, which serves as a defensive measure for those people who already witness the harms happening in their lives or in the lives of their children, and now they want to defend and react towards those happenings in order to provide some sort of treatment and cure for that. So the first thing we are supposed to pay attention is that our religion is the only religion on the face of earth that speaks about the rights of the children in its elaborate form and its totality, in a way that secures not only the success in the life of this world, but success in the hereafter, the spiritual success and the eternal success. And the rights of the children in Islam does not start from the time they become baligh, Islamically mature. It doesn't start from the time when the children are from the ages 7 to 14 or 0 to 7. It doesn't start from the time when the mother is pregnant with the baby. In Islamic value system, the first right of your future child starts when you are choosing your spouse. Because the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
said, "Ikhtaru lil-nutafikum," choose for your sperms. So if we chose a spouse which is not up to the mark, and the person has certain unacceptable, unchangeable attributes, certain attributes are changeable, certain other ones are unchangeable, then we already have messed up with the right number one of our future children, and nothing can be done about it. If the attributes are changeable, then we can do. But if the attributes are of the category which is unchangeable, then nothing can be done about that. And we did mess up with the first right of our future children. If you remember the story where Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam asked his brother to find a family, right, which is brave, so he can have a son who is brave. And this is where Aqil ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, who was Nasaba. Nasaba in Arabic we call a person who has in-depth knowledge of the lineages and the genesis and the family trees. And this is where he found this tribe of Bani Kilab, and Hazrat al-Baneen, whose name was Fatima al-Kilabiyya, was chosen, and thus Abbas was born. So, and likewise we see in the Battle of the Camel, Imam Ali gave the alam to his son Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah and asked him to move forward, and he did. But when there were literally thousands and thousands of arrows coming from the side of the enemy, he started to retreat slowly, backwards, until the time came that he discovered somebody put his hand on his shoulder, and when he turned around, he found it's no one else but his father, Imam Ali alayhi salam. So he returned back, he retreated so much that he finally reached back towards the tent of Imam Ali alayhi salam, close to that area. Imam Ali alayhi salam took the alam, the flag, back from Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah and said, "Adrakatka irkum min ummik." That means one nerve from your mother has reached you. In other words, this kind of cowardice that you have displayed has nothing to do with me. This is what you inherited from your mother. And then he handed over the flag to Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam, and Imam Hassan alayhi salam took the flag and went ahead, and the champion of the Battle of the Camel is actually Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam. So there are certain attributes of the scholars of akhlaq say certain attributes are reversible and certain attributes are genetic, transferred through the DNA, and those are irreversible. So those of the attributes which are transferred through the DNA and are irreversible and inherited require us to choose a life partner which is acceptable according to the Islamic value system, because that's not only something related to our lives, but it's also something related to the lives of our future children. And you are about to have children. You don't have the right to mess up with their lives, just like you don't have the right to mess up with your own life, because your life does not actually in the real sense, belong to you. And one of the reasons possibly why suicide is haram in Islam is because it's not yours. It belongs to Allah. It's an amanat. You don't have the right to take the life away from you unless Allah takes it away from you. It's khiyanat in the entrusted trust of Allah. So just like we don't have the right to mess up with our life, more importantly, we don't have a right to mess up with the rights and responsibilities towards our future children. Number two is about cultivating haya in the lives of and the spirituality of our children. Haya is one of those things which we can't translate into the English language, it simply has no translation because this commodity is not found in the marketplace. So, Allama at-Tabatabai, rahmatullahi alayhi, such a great mufassir of Quran, used to say that the value of haya, of al-karama, has no translation into the Farsi language. We have a long list of Islamic values rooted in Quran and the Hadith of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, right? Izzat, Sharaf, Ghairat, Zuhud, Taqwa, Haya, Shahamat, Shuja'at, Karamat, and the list goes on. And when Allama Tabatabai says the value al-karama of Islam has no translation into the Farsi language, I can also say that the value of karama has actually no translation in any language of the world. It's a fact. And our Urafa said that these values have actually no translation in any language. Not just al-karama, all the rest of the values are also the same. One of the reasons why we emphasize to the parents to teach their own Islamic languages in their houses is because our Islamic languages contain those values of Quran which cannot be translated into any other language. So, unfortunately, some of the parents did not teach their own Islamic languages as they should have inside their houses, and now when we come to the Islamic Center where we need to have programs in the English language because it's the common language of all the audience, and second of all because some parents messed up with their responsibility at home and now it has become a duty, an obligation on our neck to protect the iman of our younger generation. So now we have to do all the services in English because that's the only way and the only language that our youth understand, unfortunately. It shouldn't be the case, but it is the case. So now, coming back to the point, after Islamic Revolution happened, Imam Khomeini Ridwanullah alayhi added Arabic as the second official language in Islamic Iran for the same reason, because our values cannot be translated into any language. And Islam is a package of values. The day you compromise over your values, you are spiritually dead. So it's all about values. So haya is one of those values. All the values are great, but certain values are so great, so much more great that the equation between haya and iman is actually the equation of equality. So, and haya is equal to the entire iman and faith of the person. The hadith says, La dina liman la haya lahu. Someone who doesn't have haya does not have any religion. Doesn't matter how much prayers you are praying every day, how much you are fasting, how much homes you pay, how much zakat, fitrah, how many times you go for hajj, it really doesn't count after losing the value of haya It really does not count. If you lose the haya, nothing else is going to be counted. Period. It's such a great value that equals the entire iman. Not every value is like this, but this is. So the reason you find some of our daughters find it difficult to wear the hijab is because some parents fail to cultivate the value of haya in their spirituality. Even if a girl doesn't wear the hijab, but she has the haya in her soul, today or tomorrow, she's bound to do the hijab because the value of haya is there. But even if you impose the hijab on a girl, but the value of haya is not cultivated in her soul, as soon as she can find a space, she can take the hijab off and do the business as usual. So the batin of hijab is haya, which is missing in some families. So let's go to the root of the matter. Why is this happening? Because some parents fail to cultivate haya in the souls of their children. So we don't allow our children to have night sleepovers and and hanging out with those with whom we don't share our value system. We are proud of our value system. The Puritan values. How Imam Khomeini Ridwanullah used to say, our Islam is the Al-Islam al-Muhammadi al-Asil. Islam al-Nabi Muhammadi. Khalis Muhammadi Islam. The pure Muhammadan Islam. Sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi wa sallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
That we receive from the hands of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, nothing added into it, nothing subtracted from it. In its original form, all the values of all the prophets. You read the ziyarat of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, don't you say, Assalamu alayka ya warisa Adam asafwatullah. Salam to you, O you, the inheritor of Adam, the chosen one of Allah. Assalamu alayka ya warisa Nuh nabiyullah. Salam be on you, the waris and inheritor of Nuh, prophet of God, and so on and so forth. So Imam Hussain alayhi salam is the inheritor of all the prophets, rightfully so. He has the values of all the prophets of God, and he preserved, and he gave his life to protect those values. So we are proud of our Puritan value system. We don't allow our daughters to, any one of our sons, it's all the same, to spend time with non-mahram people in a lonely place is makruh. So I was in Australia and in one city, and somebody came to me and said, Maulana, my daughter ran away with a non-Muslim and she turned 18. And I said, well, brother, it doesn't work like this. So it took 18 long years for your daughter to turn 18 years of age. What sort of values did you teach her in those 18 years? Right? Did you teach her that it's haram to shake hands with a non-married person? Did you teach her? Did you tell her that it's disliked by Allah to sit in a lonely place with a non-mahram person where no one else is watching you? Did you teach her that? That's how I do. It doesn't happen that she just walked out of the house and the first person, she met, she just, went to some sort of church or whatever and did her marriage. It doesn't happen like this. There is a level of understanding taking place. They must have met several times somewhere, right? So all those preliminary steps are forbidden in Islam. Allah is the manufacturer of the human beings, and the manufacturer knows us best. The step number 1 has been made haram. There is no room for a person to reach to step number 2, or step number 10, or step number X. So, it's about the parents. More importantly, the parents are liable, more importantly than that girl. So we are supposed to cultivate the haya in our children, and they are automatically going to turn towards Islam. Even if they don't practice right now, they are bound to return back towards Islam, because the haya is not going to let them stay like that. It will bring them back to the track. Um, so if haya is gone, everything else will be gone as well, and nothing else, even if we do, is going to be accepted, or nothing else will be beneficial for our spirituality. When Imam Ridwanullah alayhi gave the hukum against the murtad, he mentioned that statement in the beginning, that this is addressed with those who have ghayrat. Those who don't have, obviously those who don't have ghayrat, for them everything is okay. If you lose the value of ghayrat, again, nothing else of Islam will survive. Every other sin is okay, it's not a problem. It's a problem for those who have ghayrat. For those who don't have ghayrat, everything is okay. So we are supposed to preserve the ghayrat actually. We are supposed to focus on haya and ghayrat in our children, more importantly. And the rest of the things will come with the package, automatically. Obviously we're supposed to talk about that and teach that as well, but that's the more important thing, is to focus on these. Number 3 is the parents being the role model. The parents are the first teachers and the first role models of the children. The problem in some of the houses is that the parents themselves don't practice. When they migrated, they thought they are giving talaq to Islam and coming to the West. So they forgot, they stopped practicing, or they never used to practice the way they should. Whatever be the reason, in the household, Islam is not governing. Islam is not the thing which is ruling over their household. What we need is that our Islamic value system and the value system of the walayat of Ahlul Bayt should be ruling over the house. If a household doesn't have the value system of Ahlul Bayt ruling over it, then there is no guarantee for the Islamic upbringing of the children either. Parents are the first role model. They are supposed to be the first role model. And if you yourselves practice Islam, approximately 50% of the job is already done. So there's a joke. Probably it may not be a joke, maybe a reality. So somebody came at the door, and this child rushed towards the door to open, and he found somebody at the door. He said, "Is your dad there?" And the child replied, "No, he's not there." And he said, "Okay, when he's gonna come back?" He said, "He didn't say that. All he said, just go there and say, I'm not there." So we parents teach how to tell the lies. Allah did not teach a child to tell a lie. When Allah creates a child, He creates him in immaculate situation, sinless, flawless, innocent. We parents are the ones precisely who teach children how to lie and how to do all the rest of the harams. Harams are not taught by Allah. Allah does not promote the harams. All Allah promotes is khair and goodness and haqq and righteousness. We are not those of sects. We are not one of those sects of Islam who believe Allah is the fa'il al-shar. Allah is the doer of evil. We, the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, believe Allah is the fa'il of khair and goodness only. Shar is from us, the humans. not from Allah. So we need to be the role model. If you practice yourselves, half of the job is already done. Child is like a copycat. It sees you and does the same, right? So whatever you're doing has a direct impact on the mindset, on the spirituality of the child. Even some of the narrations teach us that one person came to a prophet of God and said, I want my son to look like Hazrat Musa. And this prophet replied to this man, at the time of having a relationship, just think about Prophet Musa and your son will become resembling to Prophet Musa. So our minds, our thoughts have a direct impact, Islam teaches, on the kind of son or daughter we are about to conceive. The brain works wonders in Islam. You see, a big bunch of narrations from the Prophet and Al-Bait that talk about those adab and etiquettes, how to have those relationships and what impacts our various types of relationships and our various types of good or bad thoughts have on the children. That's not my subject to talk about those relationships, but those are mentioned elaborately in our narrations. So even our thinkings of the mind have a direct impact on the children. Even during the time of pregnancy, things that the mother is thinking about doing, practicing, has a direct impact on the soul and the status of the spirituality of the child. So one son, actually it's narrated, one of the teachers in the Hausa was telling this story. A son stole something and the dad started to scold him. And when the mom heard all that, she said, don't scold him because it's actually my fault. When I was pregnant with him, I also stole something from the next door neighbor's house. So it's understandable. The son is also supposed to steal because I stole when I was pregnant. So whatever we do, we, the parents, whatever we do has a direct impact. Fourth of all, is one of the most important things is rizq halal. Just like in business, they say the first most important thing is location, and the second most important thing is location, and the third most important thing is location. Similarly, in the science of Islamic morality, our scholars of Abbas say the first most important thing in the spirituality is rizq halal, halal rizq, halal sustenance. And the second most important thing is rizq halal. And the third most important thing is rizq halal. Yeah, some people say, no, Maulana, we also consume the halal chicken in our houses. Well, it's not just that. It's not just about that. It's also about the source of your income. If the source of your income is haram, even if you're buying a halal chicken, it really doesn't matter. There are a whole bunch of harams which are going on. Some people are involved in those harams, and it's not just about eating the haram non-zabiha chicken. That's just one of the long list of examples of haram. Some people never paid their homes, right? And inshallah tomorrow is our subject on khums as well, and I'm going to talk about that. But this guy is also consuming haram because the right of Abbas is on his money. He's feeding haram to his children on a daily basis. Some people didn't pay off their loans. If you borrow money from some brother and you don't pay him back, and he's calling and calling and calling, and you change your number. You're also consuming haram, right? You don't grow horns when you eat haram. It's not just non-halal chicken. There's so many different types of harams that people are doing. Some people are buying the halal chicken, but from a money which is purely haram. I honestly have now I travel too much. Every single week I'm traveling, other than the month of Ramadan. It's a lot of travel, a lot of travel. So I have stopped asking. I never ask from any person, what do you do for your living? I never asked that question. Because that's the best I could do. Because if I ask and people tell me what they are doing, I'm not the kind of person who will go silent. I will speak up. And that's what people dislike. So the best I could do is not to ask you. That's not my wajib to search into the private lives of people. It's not my wajib. On behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's the best I could do, to stay silent on that subject. But if somebody happens to talk about what he's doing, I will not stay silent and I will speak up. Because bidding the good and forbidding the bad, amar bil ma'roof and nahy anil munkar, is wajib. You cannot stay silent. And that's what some people find it very difficult and very hard and very feel bad about it. Because they don't want to quit the haram jobs. So the best thing I can do is not to ask, because it's not wajib on me to ask about your personal lives. There's so much haram going on, especially in this corner, these corners of the world, in the Western world. So this has a direct impact on the soul. Haram risk and haram money, haram food and haram source of income has a direct impact that serves as the foundation of the construction of your spirituality. Just like every building has a foundation, the scholars of akhlaq say foundation of your spirituality is on the halal risk and the halal source of income, from where you are getting the money from. That's the foundation. So you can't construct a stable building on a shaky foundation. It's not going to work. And as long as we are eating the haram, there is a famous story of Sheikh Rajab Ali Khayyat. I don't know if you've heard about his name or not. One of those arifs in Iran. I think he passed away not so far ago, probably about 40 to 50 years ago. A very famous arif, right? He had so many stories from the blessed life of his. People used to come to him to ask about their personal problems and solutions to those problems, because he had a miracle from Imam Sahib Zaman al-Islam. Imam al-Islam did the miracle, and because of that miracle, he became hafiz, a memorizer of the entire Quran, because of the miracle of the Imam. So in Iran, when people used to write Qurans for publishing, they used to bring it to Sheikh Rajab Ali Khayyat to verify the Quran, because he memorized the Quran from the miracle of Imam Sahib Zaman al-Islam. What he memorized is obviously the perfect thing. So people used to come, and whenever he used to look at the Holy Quran, let's suppose there is Quran somewhere on the bookshelf, he can see the Holy Quran, the verses of Quran in the form of nur, light of Allah emitting from that, in the form of nur from far away. Even if there is one verse of Holy Quran written in the book somewhere far away, he can see that one verse in the form of nur. So someone came, one of the teachers of the Hausa was telling that he went to some party, some invitation for food, and there was a food which was mushtabah. Mushtabah is that kind of food which you are not sure it's haram and you're not sure it's halal. And that kind of food is not haram to eat, it's halal to eat in terms of Islamic jurisprudence, fiqhiyyan. But for a person like him, it was not suitable to eat something which he's not sure about. So we are supposed to do things according to your status, your Islamic high status, not just like a regular person out there. So, and he ate from that food, and all those maqamat, those spiritual levels that he had gained were gone momentarily. And he realized, and he stepped out of that house and he vomited all the food. And he regained those levels back. So every bit of food that we consume, halal or haram, or from the halal money or the haram money, has a direct impact on our soul. Direct impact. Immediate impact on our soul. If today I miss my Fajr prayers, I should rethink, what did exactly I eat yesterday? Why is that so that I couldn't wake up for my Fajr prayers? If I couldn't wake up for my Salatul-Layl, my Namaz-e-Sham, I should also think. One person came to Imam Ali salam and said, I'm mahroom, I'm deprived from waking up for my Salatul-Layl, the night prayers. Imam Ali salam had the ilmul ghaib, knowledge of the unseeable, and he said to him, Anta rajulun qayyadatka dhunubuka. You are a man who has been seized by your sins. That means because of your sins that you are seized and captured. So our scholars of Akhlaq say, if I do a sin, God forbid, today, I will be deprived of receiving the tawfiq and opportunity from Allah to wake up for the night prayers tonight. And not waking up for the night prayers tonight will deprive me further from certain tawfiqat and opportunities of goodness tomorrow. So if I do a sin, it has an impact of what is going to happen towards my worships tonight, and those worships or lack of worships will have an impact tomorrow. It's a chain reaction, it's like a ripple effect. If I avoid all the harams today in my life, it is bound to have an impact on my worship status of tonight, and that will in turn have a direct impact on my behavior towards Allah tomorrow. So if I don't wake up for Fajr prayer today, I should think, what kind of food did I consume yesterday? Do muhasabah, holding ourselves accountable. Our teachings are all spiritual, Nurani teachings. They're not going to penetrate into the soul. If the soul is najis and dirty, a soul that consumes haram food is najis and dirty. A soul that has love of dunya in it is the dirtiest, the unjust, the biggest najis of all. There is no najasat available, bigger najis than love of this dunya. Love affair with the temporary belongings of this world, which is the root cause of all the sins that people are doing and trying to justify their wrongs, right? Just to protect some money that they have acquired or some material gains that they have acquired. Now they try to left and right, they want to justify and retain that money. Whether it will, at the end of the day, will remain in their hands or not, that's up to Allah, up to the muqaddar and destiny of Allah. Doesn't matter whether we sell our faith or we don't sell our faith. That really doesn't matter. Because what is destined to reach us will reach us no matter what. Whether I sell my faith, I compromise over my value system, I shake hand with a woman at my workplace, or I don't shake hand, that really doesn't matter. What is destined to reach me as my risk is bound to reach me, because that's the destiny of Allah. I come from Seattle, Washington, right? Washington State. So, state of Washington in America is the home of three major corporations, Boeing. So all these Boeing planes are made in our city, in our state. Boeing is our company, and Microsoft, and Amazon.com. So these are the three major corporations of Washington State. So in our small community in Seattle, we have aircraft engineers and IT professionals. That's the mainstream business of our city. So just for 737s, Boeing got 2,000 aircraft contract from various airlines, 2,000 airplanes, just 737-900 alone. Forget about the Dreamliner 787 and 777 and all those others. So it's a growing business. So now There was a sister working for Boeing, and there are lots of people who work for Boeing and Microsoft. So when she used to go to the workplace, she used to take the hijab off, and she used to come to the Islamic Center, she used to put the hijab back on. So do you think your hijab is going to protect your employment? Is that what you're saying? What's going on in the rear end of your mind? Did you analyze? Every problem we have in our practical lives takes its roots to one or several problems we face in our belief system. I repeat my sentence. Every problem we have in our practical lives takes its roots to one or several problems this guy is facing in the belief system. There's something going on actually in the belief system which is causing the person to continuously do various sorts of wrong things in the everyday life schedule. Do you think your employer is the one who provides the sustenance to you? Is that what you think? Even you, when she took off the hijab, the first person who was fired when they started to lay off was her. Prophet Musa was commanded by Allah to go to the water front, and he went there, and then Allah asked Prophet Musa to strike his asa, his stick, on the water, and Prophet Musa did, and the water ripped apart, ripped open, and he can see at the bottom, the rock bottom, and there was a stone at the bottom. And then Allah commanded Prophet Musa to strike that rock, and he did. And that rock opened up, and there was another stone inside the bigger stone. And Allah commanded Prophet Musa to strike his stick on the second stone, which was inside the bigger stone. And he did. And from inside the second stone, when it opened up, there was a tiny insect, a tiny blind insect, inside the second stone, and the habitat of that insect was inside the two stones at the seabed. And the phrase of remembrance, every single thing Quran says, وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَفْقَهُونَ تَسْبِيحَهُمْ. Every single thing is glorifying the praise of its Lord, but you people do not understand. Every single thing in the universe is doing. My teacher Ayatollah Jawadi Amuri Hafizahullah in his tafsir, he said every single existence in the universe is doing the tasbih, glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is musabbih, and it's dhakir, engaged in the remembrance of Allah, and it's abid, busy in the worship of Allah, and it's hamid, is engaged in praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single particle of the universe is musabbih and zakir and abid and hamid. So no surprise that tiny blind insect living inside two stones at the seabed is also engaged in some sort of zikr of Allah. We may know it, we may never know it. What do we know? What we don't know is so much than what we know that it's literally correct to say we are ignorant. And the zikr and the phrase of remembrance, the hadith teaches us, the phrase of remembrance, zikr, which that tiny blind insect inside the two stones at the seabed was oft repeating, constantly repeating, was this: O you, my Lord, O you who did not forget the rizq and sustenance of me, a blind insect inside the two stones, how would you forget the rizq and sustenance of the humankind? This sentence, the insect was constantly repeating. Isn't that a shame when we find a human being selling their values and faith for the sake? They think they can protect their job, they can outsmart Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can never outsmart our Creator. It will backfire us from ways we don't understand. Right? Okay, coming back. Halal food. So it's not just about non-zabiha chicken, it's about paying our homes, it's about one person. So one son or one daughter got the inheritance, the father passed away, and this daughter, this son did not distribute the inheritance of the deceased father according to the shares mentioned in the Holy Quran. So this son and daughter is also consuming haram. A whole bunch of haram things. I already said I don't ask the people what they're, what they do for their living. There's so many things, It's not my job to delve into people's personal lives. Those who are interested in their spirituality, they can themselves come and discuss with any alim what is halal and what's haram about what they are doing personally. The fifth point about the proactive approach is reciting Quran daily. The Prophet has said in his hadith, اقرأوا القرآن ولا تتخذوا بيوتكم قبورا. Recite the Quran and don't make your houses to be graves. That means in the dictionary of the Holy Prophet, our houses are the graves of the living dead if we do not recite the Quran. If the final word of Allah, which is Nur of Allah, is not found, you can't attract the blessings of Allah by putting some sort of statue of an angel in your backyard. And you have to do something to attract the Nur and blessings of Allah. Quran is the Nur, right? We have to read Quran daily. If we don't, our spirituality is already massacred. This person is a living dead. We have triple responsibilities towards the Holy Quran, and Quran is a living book of God, unlike any other book in the library. It's alive, it's watching us, it's a witness on us, it shall bear witness about our behavior, good or bad, towards the Holy Quran on the Day of Judgment. Okay? Quran will witness about the behavior of every single person on the face of earth. So we have triple responsibility towards Quran. Learning to read it correctly. There's some people 70 years of age, 80 years of age, can't even say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim correctly. Obviously all the prayers will be batil. When we are able to learn, but we don't seek how to recite the basic tajweed, basic rules of recitation of Quran, our recitation is batil, and thus our prayers are also batil. It's a 2-week course. When the enemies of Islam can learn Arabic from rosettastone.com CDs to root out Islam, then me and you can also learn a 2-week course to have our basic Arabic recitation corrected, so our prayers are okay, right? It's a matter of importance. But you find how many people have their recitation corrected? Reciting correctly. Second of all, understanding the meanings of Quran. The best translation up till now in the English language is that of Brother Ali Quli Qara'i in English. That's the best in English up till now. So understanding the meaning, so you know what Allah is saying. And third of all, practicing its contents. That determines our level in the paradise. Because Prophet has said, Inna darajat al-jannah ala qadri ayat al-Quran. The levels of paradise are in the same magnitude of the ayat of Quran. So, which is a controversy between Shias and Sunnis, how many are the total ayat of Quran? That's also a controversy. So, but whatever is the total number of ayat of Quran, the levels of paradise are exactly in the same magnitude of the number of ayat. You want to know what's your level in the paradise? It's very, very simple. Just say in your 80 years of life, 70 years of life, 60 years or 50, whatever years of life, how many ayat of Quran did you practice, did you recite and understand and practice up till these 50 years? Let's suppose in 50 years of life, a person only managed to practice 35 ayat of Quran only. So he's going to be on the level number 35 for eternity. You will never, ever, 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 ever be elevated to the 36th level. Because we don't believe in Raf'ud Darajat al-Amaliyah. We believe in Raf'ud Darajat al-Ilmiyah in Islam. There is no way a person, based on the actions, can have further high level inside the paradise because he cannot do any action on the day of judgment. Imam Ali says, Al-Yawm Amalun wala hisab. Nahjul Balagha, today is action and no accountability. Wal-Ghad hisabun wala amal. Tomorrow is accountability and no action. So we can't do any action to repair something or to gain something. No actions tomorrow. Actions need to be done right here. So if you want to elevate your levels, one of the reasons why the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt are on the highest possible level, because they practice the entire Quran in their lives. They deserve to be on the highest level. They earned it. It's not an unfair favoritism from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many ayat did you practice in your entire life? Ask the question to yourself. So we need to recite Quran instead of ignoring the Quran. Prophet says, Salasatun yashkuna ilallah azza wa jalla. Three things are going to complain to Allah. Masjidun la yusalla fi. A masjid where no one goes to pray. Like it says, in other words, a ghost town. If we convert masjid into a ghost town, this masjid itself is going to speak loud and clear and complain towards Allah. No one, I was there, but nobody bothered to come in me to, do the worships of God. Second of all, mushafun mu'allaqun qad waqa'a alayhi al-ghubar. That Quran which is placed somewhere high and dust settles over it, the Quran is going to complain to Allah. And third of all, alimun bayna juhal, a scholar among the ignorance. Scholar was there, but nobody came to ask him the question to improve in his knowledge and spirituality. So we should not leave the Quran mahjur in the qawmi. Ittakhudhu hadha al-Qur'ana mahjura. The fifth thing, the minimum we are supposed to recite before I move to the sixth thing, the minimum is 50 ayats. Is there in the hadith. Every moment is supposed to recite minimum 50 ayats of Quran daily. It takes 5 minutes. You may be a CEO of a multi-billion corporation. You can still spare 5 minutes of your time. If you don't know how to manage your time, you can't, keep on any position in this world, right? So we need to manage our time. So it's a matter of importance. We need to give time to the Holy Quran. Any time of the day, specifically after the Fajr prayers, is the specific time of reading Quran and before the sleep. 50 ayats of Quran. If you know the meaning of Arabic, you have the knowledges of Arabic and Islamic sciences, good. If you don't, pick up a translation, authentic translation to read and understand its meanings. So it helps you to practice. 5 minutes plus 5 minutes of reading of translation, 10 minutes job. 50 ayat of Quran should be the job of every mu'min every day. The sixth thing is nasihat, advice. Ayatollah Sheikh Ansari, such a great mujtahid of ours, whose books are part of the syllabus of every hawza in the world since centuries. He used to go every Thursday to Ayatollah Mazandarani, his class fellow, to seek advices. Even if you become a marja, you are not exempt from seeking advices. And our maraja used to seek advice from those whom they consider to be spiritually higher than them. Who are we? We always need advices. The moment I start thinking I am above and beyond seeking the advices because I'm so good, that's the day when I'm killing my spirituality. We should always be ready to seek advices from those who are spiritually higher than us. So, some people think Islamic school is like a dumping station. So they can dump their children and take a break. Islamic school is not a dumping site. So it's your job to provide proper advices to your children. It's not the job of the two teachers of Islamic school. They're doing a great job if they are teaching, but primarily it's your job as parents to teach your children and give them the proper advices. Okay? Whether you send your kids to the school or you don't, that's not a replacement for you giving them the proper Islamic advices. Pick up a book of how many kids know about the Islamic belief system through dalil and logical evidences. Do a survey in various Hussainiyas, generally speaking. If somebody, you walk out, my son, my daughter, if she goes to a university or college, and somebody asks him, hey, are you a Shia? Are you a Muslim? Why you guys believe in 124,000 prophets of God? Why? Do you have an evidence? Because my mom told me. Or you can say, well, my mom is a Hindu, she told me this and this and this. Is that an evidence? You believe in 12 Imams? Okay, do we have any logical evidence? How many children of ours have evidences about what they believe? The wajib number 1 on the neck of the children when he or she becomes baligh, Islamically mature, is to prove the Islamic belief system with logical and or narrated evidences. Wajib number 1. How many people know any logical evidence behind believing in 12 Imams? And that's just an example. All of our beliefs. Allama al-Hilli, one of our great scholars, compiled this book called Kitabul-Alfan, Book of 2000. And he named his book Book of 2000 because he compiled 2,000 evidences about the imamat and walayat of Imam Ali alayhi salam in his book. One mujtahid of our history, in one of his books, is compiling 2,000 evidences about the imamat of Imam Ali. Are we short of evidences? No. We have abundant ignorances. We are not short. We are our own enemies. The biggest enemy is our own ignorance. We are not short of evidences. No one else to complain against except our own selves. 2,000 evidences by just one mujtahid. We don't even know the names of the books. He do the survey and I asked in our community, how many people know the names of the books of hadith? And some children know the names of the football players and the soccer players, and obviously in secular Europe, football is the biggest religion, bigger than any other Christian denomination. It draws more crowd in the football stadium, right, than any other church. How pathetic is that my children can know the names of the football players, but they don't know the names of the 12 Imams in a row. And this is what they're going to be asked inside the grave when they're buried. So, pick up a book of an adil, a nice, pious mujtahid about Islamic beliefs. Learn yourself, teach to your children before they become baligh. They need to know all those evidences. Religion, brothers and sisters, is not a commodity which is inherited. Don't try to inherit the religion, because religion is not a commodity to be inherited. Religion is something that has to be proven by logical evidences, narrated evidences. It's not inherited. If you inherited your religion, I'm sorry to say, you have to correct yourselves. The seventh thing is about nourishing our Islamic identity. Oh, okay. So this is a Pakistani center, and this is an Indian center. This is an Afghani center, and this is a Hoja center, and this one is a Lebanese center, and this is, whatever, Syrian center. This center for the converts. Where is the Islamic center? Where is the Islamic center? Did you find in the time of Rasulullah, Suhaib al-Rumi, the white European guy converting to Islam, coming all the way from Rome to Medina, opening his own European center in the holy city of Medina, and Bilal al-Habashi coming from Africa, opening his own African center in Medina, and Salman al-Farsi coming from Persia, opening his own Iranian center in Medina, and Khabbab ibn al-Arad coming from Palestine, opening his own Palestinian center in Medina, and Abu Dhal al-Ghafari, native Arabian, opening his own Arabic center in Medina. Did that happen in the time of Rasulullah? Or everybody used to show up in one Islamic Masjid al-Nabi, Masjid of the Prophet, receiving one standard, unified message from one leader in one language that unifies all. Our centers, that's why we believe that we believe in deculturalization of our Islamic centers. Our centers, so many of them, not all, so many of them are cultural clubs. They don't deserve to be called an Islamic center. Constructing a $40 million center in such and such place in North America and putting a ban on all those ulama who talk about Yawm al-Quds. What are you trying to say? So this is your center. This is not the center of Allah. This is not the house of God. This is not Husayniyah. This is not the house of Ahlul Bayt. This is your house because your policy is implemented, not the policy of Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam. If you're implementing your policy in the Islamic center, stop calling it to be a masjid or Husayniyah. That's your personal club, personal opinion club. If it's an Islamic center, it will have the policy of Quran and Ahlul Bayt ruling over it, whether somebody likes it or not. Well, it's true, Maulana, Imam Sadiq al-Islam has said this, but you know what? My opinion is that who cares about your opinion? We didn't come to the Islamic center to worship your opinion. Please keep your opinions at home before coming to an Islamic center. You don't come to worship your opinions. We come here to worship Allah according to the opinion of Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. So we believe in deculturalization. So many of the non-Muslims who are converting in America, I don't know about Ireland, so many of non-Muslims who are converting to America are pissed off. And so many of our own youth are disoriented. Just like you saw a glimpse of that in this beautiful skip by our children. They don't come to any Islamic center because they don't find it to be Islamic. They find it more cultural. Our cultures can never attract the youth. What can keep the youth on their iman and faith is the logical evidences that convinces them from the inside. If you did not teach them the logical evidences about the Islamic belief system, you are leaving a vacuum in their soul which will get filled up by somebody else outside. And this is what is going on, and they get disoriented from the centers because they are too much cultural than Islamic. But why in the world a person born in America would follow a Pakistani culture? Why? He's not Pakistani. It's not going to work. Come on. So are you making a center only for the Pakistanis? Is that what Rasulullah did? Is that what Imam Ali did? In Masjid al-Kufa in the time of Imam Ali, only his own clan and his own tribe and his own people used to show up. Who gave you the license to make a Pakistani center? Or Iranian center? Or Iraqi only center? Or Lebanese only center? Who gave you the license? Where are we going? Did we understand the concept? Masjid is a concept in Islam. Quran says, إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. Okay, eighth of all, early marriages. When we're talking about protecting our youth, a proactive approach, and you don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. It's going to work to a limit. It's not going to work, absolutely for everyone. So you have to provide a halal outlet. Allah has provided a halal outlet, specifically in the West. When we are facing so many challenges, it's advisable for the youth and for the parents, both, to focus on the timely marriages for the girls, specifically in the first legal age, we follow the law of the land. We don't go against the law of the land. The law of the land is different in in America, and almost every state has a different law. So some states have 18, some states have 17, some have 16, some have even 15 with the permission of the guardian. So I don't know what's the law of Ireland. Whatever is the legal age of marriage, in the earliest legal age, it's the advisable thing to do the marriage specifically for the daughter, because our ahadith have so much ta'keed and emphasis on marrying the daughters on time. When Prophet married, he was approximately 25 years old. So there's a room for boys to delay, but there is no room for the girls to delay. And ninth of all is the ma'rifat of the walayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, which is the most important thing. Our children should feel proud over being the followers of Ahlul Bayt. Somebody said to me in California, Maulana, if you call me at the workplace, don't call me Muhammad, call me Mo. I said, no way. If I'm going to call you, I will call you Muhammad, or I will never call you. The choice is yours. I'm not going to tell a lie. If you can't defend Islam for the name's sake, what else can you do for Islam? तो आप बड़ा नाम भी दीन की खिदमत नहीं कर सकते, तो काम क्या खाक करेंगे इस्लाम के लिए? Ask a Jew, so Mr. Benjamin Goldstein, what if I call you Bakir? And see how he responds back to you. The problem, brothers and sisters, is not with the non-Muslims. There are very nice people out there, and we respect those Jews and Christians and our neighbors of various faiths in Islam. Islam teaches us to respect our neighbors. The problem is with some of us who do not follow their own value system. When Imam Khomeini was in Paris, he sent gifts to his Christian neighbors on the occasion of Christmas. How many of us are sending gifts to our Christian neighbors on the Christmas occasion? So, we need to feel proud. Hey, are you a Muslim? Oh, I'm supposed to be a Muslim. Yeah, you know what? I don't practice, but my parents are practicing, but I don't practice Islam. Those kinds of weird answers, because these youths don't feel proud over being the follower of Imam Ali alayhi salam. They don't value the walayat of Ahlul Bayt. If they valued the walayat of Ahlul Bayt, they would be feeling proud over expressing the fact that we are the Shias of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. And they would have been inspiring others in the college and the universities, instead of getting inspired from others. Why we get inspired from others and hide our identity? Because we are undergoing an identity crisis. Why we are undergoing an identity crisis? Because we fail to understand the value of believing in the walayat of 12 Imams. When we fail to believe the value, anything can happen. And this is why you find so many people marrying with those with whom we don't marry and running away with them, and so much other things which are happening because we fail to understand the concept of walayat. What in the world did I benefit from when I believe in Imam Ali alayhi salam to be my Mawla? Did I understand the benefit? As compared to this Tom Williams who doesn't believe, what's the difference between me and him? Does my son understand the difference? If he does, he will feel proud. He will never compromise over his identity, instead of hiding the identity. I went to Australia, and somebody had he started to have beard after listening to the speaker. That's the guidance from Allah. So when he went to his workplace, his Jewish boss asked him about his beard. And he said to him that, sir, you also have a beard. He said, as far as this goes, don't even talk about that. This is part of me. Look at how they are giving importance to their own values. Don't even talk about that. That's part of me. How many of us feel proud over our iman, our values? So the problem is not with them. The problem is with us. It's not with the non-Muslims. I was in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles. It's the most expensive neighborhood in LA. And went to see a lawyer in Beverly Hills, and this lady, a Jewish lady. The long story short is that when we talked about everything and we stood up about to leave, she shook hands with this Mu'min brother who was carpooling me, and he shook her hand. And then this Jewish lawyer, she extended her hand towards me. And I said, well, with due respect, but that's illegal in my faith. She said, is it illegal only for the priests, or is it illegal for everyone? I said, no, there's no distinction in the law. The law applies on everyone equally. And then she started to ask this Mu'min brother, why did you shake my hand? And he started to become apologetic. No, we came here to file a case and this and that. I said, no, that's not right. If it's illegal in your faith, you're not supposed to shake my hand. And then this Jewish lady apologized to me, and then she escorted me to the last gate of her huge office and apologized 2 more times. In total, she apologized 3 times to me. And she said, now onwards, as soon as I discover a person is a Muslim, I will never extend my hand towards them. So the problem is not with the non-Muslims. The problem is with some of us who stop practicing their own faith. Because we have a vacuum about our own Islamic identity. We don't value the walayat of Ahlul Bayt. This is what I was talking about. That we cultivate the belief of walayat of Ahlul Bayt with logical evidences that our youth are convinced from the inside. So they feel proud and they don't compromise. Now going to the reactive approach, I will be very, try to be short. I think you are tired. So first of all is cutting all the disinformation sources. We have lots of disinformation sources, websites, social media outlets, specifically the Zionist-controlled media, the TV, and the films, magazines, and obviously the peers and the friends. So the hadith of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi wa qarinihi. A man is on the religion of his companion and friend and companion. So, said once. So whatever companions we are hanging around with are going to have an impact on us. It's very important that with children, we need to keep an eye and check what sort of friends they have, what sort of websites they are visiting. And the Homeland Security Department in the United States has the right to monitor my emails and my text messages and my telephone calls and everything I do, everything else I do. And the National Security Agency, NSA, whose budget is even more than the CIA, can monitor everything of my social media accounts. Then the parents also have the right to monitor the browsing pattern of their children for the national security of their souls. So you have to be particular about what your children are watching and where they are, from where they're getting their information or disinformation. All the videos and TVs and films and even the cartoons and newspapers and the friendships. So if my child plays with those people with whom we don't share our values for even 1 hour or two, he may learn certain foul words in those 2 hours. Right? So we don't allow that. We don't like that. So there has to be a check. You have to cut the disinformation sources. There is no way you can correct the spiritual problem of your children unless and until you cut the disinformation sources. And that also includes the non-qualified so-called scholars or non-qualified orators sitting on the minbar of the Prophet and spreading disinformations about Quran and the teachings of Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. That also includes that. So we have to be very particular about that. So Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam has said in his hadith, yeah. So Man asgha ila natiqin faqad abadahu. Whoever pays attention to the talk of somebody, the listener has worshipped the speaker. The listener has worshipped the speaker. And then Imam al-Kadhim says, فَإِنْ كَانَ النَّاطِقْ يَنْتِقْ عَنِ اللَّهِ فَقَدْ عَبَدَ اللَّهِ. Or if the speaker was talking on behalf of Allah, then the listener has worshipped Allah in the real sense. He is actually, in other words, he has worshipped Allah. وَإِنْ كَانَ النَّاطِقْ يَنْتِقْ عَنْ لِسَانِ إِبْلِيسِ. And then the speaker was talking from the lisan and tongue of Iblis, the shaitan, then the listener has worshipped shaitan. So we have to be very particular whom are we listening to. We cannot just allow anybody to sit in the minbar. There is a merit required for that. So merit has to be fulfilled. Iman and taqwa and the insight and basirat in the religion. The 3 basic qualities required for every scholar and for every mu'min as well in the time of ghaibat. Number 2, providing healthy alternatives. So when you are not allowing your children to do so many of the things that we already discussed, then you have to provide healthy alternatives, picnics, going outdoors, adventures, visiting the friends, those people who have taqwa, because in Islam our friendships are based entirely on the concept of taqwa. So in a planned way we need to organize sessions and activities with those people who have taqwa, so our children befriend the children of Ahlul Taqwa. So they become friends of the pious families and their children, so they learn the shared values and they don't get derailed from the Islamic track and they don't start following the path of shaitan any further. Providing the healthy alternatives is very important. You provide the positive Islamic camps and picnics, because when you're not allowing the night sleepovers with others, then you have to provide some alternatives to your children. So they don't feel that Islam makes them isolated, Islam makes them, something broke away from the rest of the society. And the third important thing is that you should be always there for your children, providing them izzat, respect, care, love, fulfilling their needs. So if the parents do not turn them off totally and continue to provide them the respect and care and love that the child needs, if you turn them off and they turn away from you and you stop providing them the izzat and the care and the love, then there will be others taking your place, providing false love and false care and fake izzat and dignity for them, which is not going to provide them any solution. Instead, it's going to complicate the things further. So you should be always there to give them the respect and the love and fulfill their needs. Specifically the children who are young, you cannot talk with them, very young kids, you can't talk with them with philosophical evidences. They need their stuff, they need their things, their toys, which is okay within the Islamic limits of i'tidal to purchase and buy for them. If you can ask them, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to learn to read Quran, you have to learn these du'as, you have to do the prayers, you have to do fasting, whatever. Teach them gradually, and then you fulfill their demands as well. So continue providing the care and the love. Prophet kissed a child, and there was a father of a child present there, father of some other children. Another man standing there. He said, I have 4 children. I never kissed my children. And this is where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Man la yarham, la yurham. Someone who doesn't have mercy on others doesn't get mercy from others. Another narration says, Irham man fil ard, yarhamuka man fis sama. You have mercy on those on earth, those in the heavens will have mercy on you. So we need to provide mercy and love and izzat and respect to our children, so they don't turn away from us. They keep on coming back. And that brings me to the next point of tawbah. We need to accept their apologies, because Allah accepts our apologies. Okay? The literal meaning of the word tawbah is returning back. Returning back to where? Where exactly we return back? Sirat-ul-Mustaqim. We return back towards the straight path. When I do the sin, I am not on the Sirat-ul-Mustaqim. There is no way I can do a sin on Sirat-ul-Mustaqim. Sirat-ul-Mustaqim is a path of nur. It's not a part of zulmat. Every sin is zulmat and darkness of the soul. You cannot do zulmat on the path of nur. When I do a sin, God forbid, I am no longer on the Siratul Mustaqim. I am already off the track. That's why I did the sin. So Tawbah means returning back to the Siratul Mustaqim, returning back to the path of the mercy of Allah, to the path of nur. So just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the Tawbah, isn't it right? And He forgives everyone and every sin except the shirk. Similarly, we are supposed to also keep on accepting the apologies of the people. And fourth of all is teaching them the awaqibul amr, aqibatul amr, and results of the things. If you tell your children, if you do the backbiting, if you continue to do envy and hasad towards a mu'min, if you continue to do tuhmat and slander on a mu'min, if you continue to do this gossiping and namima, or in Urdu we say chughal-khori, in Arabic we say namima. You hear something from Mr. A and you go and tell it to Mr. B, and because you told it to Mr. B, these two people end up in a fight. This is exactly what causes scorpions in the grave. We heard so much the grave will have snakes and scorpions and all that. So the grave or the earth is not a scorpion manufacturing industry. Where does the scorpion come from? We bring and we take the scorpions with us into the grave. The grave does not provide any snake or scorpio. We have done certain actions which make our soul resemble that animal, and when our soul from the inside has already become similar to that animal that stinks, we also used to do the same stinking thing back then in the life of dunya. We converted our spirituality to resemble that sort of animal, and we are taking that animal with us in the inside, from the inside. That's the way it works. And namima and chughal-khori is precisely the scorpio. And this is the justice of Allah. Alhamdulillah. God is just. He is adil. We ask for it. When we were doing this behavior and causing fights between the people, some people are like this. When they hear something, the first thing they do, they go and tell their wife. Do you think your wife is above the law? Whatever happens, you can first go and tell your wife. Why? There are rules of Sharia applying. Zip up your mouth. Why are you sharing the information with everybody? It's this behavior, ignorance. Ignorance. As soon as we find the fault of a fellow mu'min brother or sister, the rule of the thumb is that we zip up our mouth, we hide it, we cover it up, we don't tell to others, as if we never saw. And we go to that specific brother and sister, take him into a corner and respectfully advise him or her. Do amr bil ma'ruf and nahy anil munkar, bidding the good and forbidding the bad. Some people never do amr bil ma'ruf and nahy anil munkar, bidding the good and forbidding the bad, which it was wajib on them to do because they saw the haram. They don't do that because they want to maintain their personal relationships. Their relationship with the people are more important in their eyes than their relationship with Imam Sahibul Zaman alayhi salam. So on one hand, when they were supposed to talk about to that specific person in a respectful way by taking him into a corner, not in front of the public to insult him, they didn't do that job. But on the other hand, when they were not supposed to talk about, what they were not supposed to talk about is they talked about to their wives and children and family and friends about, hey, I saw this person doing this and this and this. That's the irony. So, this is, if we tell our children the end results of the sins which are defined, every sin brings about an impact on the soul, and certain sins are clearly defined. It makes our soul resemble certain animals. If you do this, your soul will become like this animal, and you will be resurrected on the day of judgment in the shape and form of that animal. Clearly mentioned in the hadith. Ask the scholars, learn about that. So we teach our children the aftermath of each of those sins. If they learn about the aftermath, they will stop doing it. Imam Ali alayhi salam says in the hadith, Man nadara ila al-awaqib salima. Whoever looks towards the end results gets protected, becomes safe. We should know, we should teach our children what happens if you do the ghibah, for example. You know, all the good deeds of your book of deeds are now transferred into the book of deeds of that person whom you backbited, and all of his bad deeds are transferred into your book of deeds. On the day of judgment, the hadith says, person will be resurrected and he will say to Allah, Rabbi, ma hadha kitabi, my Lord, that's not my book of deeds. فَإِنِّي لَا أَرَى فِيهَا حَسَنَاتِي, I don't see my good deeds in it. And it will be said to him, you backbited this and this moment, and because of that, rebirth, your good deeds had been transferred to his book of deeds. And another person would say to Allah, I didn't do all these good deeds. Where does these deeds come from? And he will be told, such and such person backbited you, and his good deeds transferred to your book of deeds. If you tell this to your children, they will stop doing it. If they have consumed halal, from the halal sources of the jobs, they will accept. If I have najasat in the soul, it's very difficult for my son or for myself to accept the teachings of Noor until I myself take the first step of doing tawbah and removing the najasat from the soul. The ball is in our own court. That's the beauty of Islam. I have to take the first step. I have to first remove the najasat from my own soul. And then the Nurani teachings of Islam, is the luminous teachings of Islam, will start having an impact on my soul. Why for some people there is no impact? No matter how many ayats of Quran and hadith you keep on reciting, there is no impact. Right? Imam Hussain alayhi salam delivered 3 sermons in Ashura. And he said to those ashqiya, those people who were stone-hearted or worse than that, is incorrect to translate ashqiya as stone-hearted because stones are better than them. The Quran says, Inna min al-hijarati lama yatafajjaru minhu al-anhar. And we learn from this verse of Quran, among the stones there are some that rip apart and fountains burst out of it. Burst out of the stones. So such a soft thing as water can rip open such hard things as stones, but the hearts of these ashqiya, these stone-hearted or worse people never melt. So it's not correct to translate them as stone-hearted, but that's how we usually say in English. Imam Hussain Islam delivered 3 sermons to those people worse than stone-hearted on the day of Ashura, and he said to them, I know my advices are not going to work. And he says that, tells about the reason. قَدْ مُلِئَتْ بُطُونُكُمْ مِنَ الْحَرَامِ. Your stomachs are full of haram. So even if a person as purified as Imam Hussain alayhi salam comes to advise, it is still not going to work if I have consumed haram. Period. There's nothing wrong with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. There's nothing wrong with the way of his presentation. They say the way you present is more important than what you are presenting. Your wrapper is more important than the candy. There's no problem in the way Imam Hussain was presenting. There's no problem in the contents of his talk. There was no problem with Imam Hussain himself. Still, it did not work for them. Because there was a problem, what they say, the scholars of Irfan say, the problem was in the reception of the recipient souls. Those recipient souls were not ready to accommodate the Nurani teachings. They were full of zulmat and darknesses piled one on top of the other. Then they reached the point of no return because of abundance of sins without tawbah. So we need to teach them to return back, and the end results of the sins, so our children return back. And we accept their apology, Allah accepts their apology. And the last thing before I end my speech is about the dua and tawassul, which I intentionally mention at the end, because there are some people who give importance to the du'as more than the level of importance given by Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. We should give the importance equal to the level of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, not more than that. What is the level of importance given to du'as by the Ahlul Bayt? Let's ask Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali alayhi salam says in his Maulana, can you please write a ta'weez for my son, for my daughter, so he can become spiritually higher? Do you think it's about the writing the ta'weez that will make the difference? Is that how you run your life? Imam Ali alayhi salam says that yakfi min al-du'a ma'al bir ma yakfi ta'ama min al-milh. That means that much dua is sufficient alongside the good deeds as much as you put the salt in the food. If you're cooking 1 kilogram of food, do you put 900 grams of salt in it? Some people are trying to put 900 grams of dua and 100 grams of actions. It's not going to work. Let's follow the policy of Imam Ali alayhi salam. We have to put as much salt, as much dua as we put the salt in the food. How much salt do you put? So we need to focus on our own correcting of our own actions first. And then a little bit of salt. 1 pinch, 2 pinches, few pinches, is that right? A little bit of dua is sufficient after our actions are corrected first. So du'as are very important. A dua of mukhul ibadah. Dua is the brain of the worship. That's the essence of the worship. We have a great treasure of du'as. Some other sects of Islam don't have that treasure, which we have. And we need to focus on the du'as. We need to give importance to the du'as. We need to read the du'as. We need to learn the du'as. We need to recite the du'as daily. We need to pay importance to the du'as. But that doesn't mean by ignoring our actions. And we need to do tawassul towards the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, because they are the source of all the blessings of Allah descending down on us through the wasila of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. It will be a pity that we lose our connection with that Imam of the time through whom all the blessings of Allah are received by the universe. Every nikmat and blessing of Allah comes to the Imam of the time first and then gets distributed to whomsoever deserves it. Because in Ilm al-Irfan, they say, you get what you deserve. Any blessing of Allah that I fail to receive in my life is not because Allah is a miser. Stinginess and being a miser is a condemned attribute from Sifatun Qabiha, condemned attributes. And Allah is above and beyond all the condemned attributes. We say Subhanallah, we glorify Allah from all the condemned attributes and all what they associate as partners with Allah and all the Sifatul Makhluqeen attributes of the creatures. Allah has none of those. And Allah has no condemned attribute. We say Subhanallah. So Allah is not bakhil, Allah is not a miser. Then why did Allah give that ni'mah to that personality, but He didn't give it to me? Because He's a miser? No. Because He deserved it and I didn't deserve it. I need to first do the tawbah, improve myself first, make myself deserving first, and I'll find the blessing coming my way. Because Allah is not a miser. Remember I said in the beginning minutes of my speech, every problem we face in the practical lives takes its roots from one or several problems that we are facing in the belief system, the way we believe, what we believe and how we believe. Allah is not a miser. Why didn't I get that blessing? I did dua so many times that I'm not getting that blessing. Because I don't deserve it. I should make myself deserving first. And I will become the recipient of that ni'mah. I'm not getting it because I'm not deserving. Allah is adil. Allah is not a zalim. I don't deserve it. So we need to focus on doing tawassul with the Ahlul Bayt, and specifically with Imam Abi Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salatu wasalam, because they say kullul khair, our Urfa say kullul khair ala Bab al-Husayn. All the khair and goodness is at the doorstep of Imam Husayn alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Everyone who's receiving every blessing of Allah is through Imam Husayn alayhi salam. Paradise has 8 doors. Very beautiful discussion of Islam. Why the hellfire has 7 doors. And what is written on each of those 7 doors. And which category of humans will enter from which door and why. And paradise has 8 doors. And what is written on those 8 doors and which category of humans will enter from which door and why. Beautiful discussion of Islam, but that's not my subject. One of those 8 doors of paradise is called Babul Husayn, door of Husayn. And that's the widest of all the doors of paradise. So Imam Rida alayhi salam has said, and I will conclude with that. Imam Rida alayhi salam said, كلنا سفن النجاة ولكن سفينة جدي الحسين أسرع. All of us are the boats of salvation, but the boat of my grandfather Hussein is the fastest. So we need to raise our children in a way that they have a constant connection with Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and they feel proud over the ziyarat of Imam Hussain, and they feel proud over this tawassul with Imam Hussain alayhi salam, because that's the source of every prayer. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد يا الله 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 اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين واقتل الكفار والمنافقين اللهم انصر من نصر الدين واخذل من خذل المسلمين اللهم انصر واحفظ وأيد علماءنا الربانيين ومراجعنا الربانيين لا سيما الولي الفقيه قائد المسلمين اللهم انصر جيوش المسلمين وعساكر الموحدين اللهم فك عن الأسراء المسلمين اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى وعجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان واجعلنا من أنصاره وأشياعه وأتباعه وأعوانه بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. Let's recite the Ayat al-Kareemah 5 times for all the mu'mineen and mustad'afeen and mahrumeen and mazlumeen, especially Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaki and all those Shias mu'mineen in the prisons of Nigeria, Ayatollah Radi, Sheikh Ayatollah Muhammad al-Habib in the prisons of Hijaz, Saudi Arabia, Sheikh Salman in the prisons of Bahrain, and all those mu'mineen who are there in the prisons, and Sheikh Isa Qasim, and all those mu'mineen in Iraq and Sham who are defending the holy shrines of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, our mu'mineen in Pakistan doing the hunger strike and defending the cause of shuhada, and all the mu'mineen in Yemen and elsewhere in the Islamic Ummah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله. Thank you very much.